Hello, everyone, and welcome to the iSphere Season 2, Episode 5? 5, yes.
Episode 5, yeah.
Episode 5. Today, we're going to be talking about the world imploding. At least from a Scottish perspective. Nicola Sturgeon had resigned as First Minister, and there is currently a SNP leadership election underway, which
going great.
Is making me want to hold my head in my hands and then cry a little bit. It's bad. It's not been good, Joy. It's not
been a good time. I've been watching it over here, feeling very distanced from it, but also kind of being like, okay, like, how do we move forward?
Yeah. Never quite expected to be having discussions around like equal marriage in 2023. Like, can't believe that's fucking relevant, but one of the election candidates is Kate Forbes, who was finance minister and has been kind of touted as the person to watch, at least for a wee bit. She belongs to the wee freeze. Free, like, I don't know the official name, it's just the wee freeze.
Yeah.
It's like the Presbyterian Church of Scotland. And they are like basically religious fundamentalists is the only way to describe it.
Yes.
And like a lot of the stuff that she says hasn't been great. One
of the main ones was the whole she would vote against gay marriage.
Yeah, as in she would have voted against it back then, but she also said if there was a vote on it like tomorrow, she would vote against it tomorrow, which is also horrendous. Other things are she was on Lorraine Kelly, and she totally ended up like she was asked a question about abortion, and it was kind of revealing the hesitation that she had before answering. Was kind of like, okay, we can mark that. That's another one on the checklist.
Yeah, the Wee Free Church of Scotland is very it's fundamentalist. It's very conservative and right wingish. And as someone who grew up adjacent to the Wee Free Church, it's not safe for queer people at all.
I don't know. It's safe for fucking anyone. It's like,
I don't know exactly. It's really not safe for anyone that's got an actual moral compass, I would say.
The weird thing has been like it's obviously made the conversation happen in Scotland. Like, I can't believe we're having a conversation about it. You know, like, it's not just pointing out our views. It's now you've got people who find the views abhorrent. Basically all of the normal people who, like, I would say even people who were small c conservative in Scotland have kind of understood that equal marriage is a thing. It's not there to be debated anymore. It's very much like that was past and now we're in the present. But, you know, you've had the Equalities Minister of the Conservative government in Westminster defending Kate Forbes. You've had Jacob Rees-Mogg defending Kate Forbes, and it's like it's weird because, and I said this earlier, but like it's kind of weird that like it's almost validating my like hardcore young 13-year-old cringe atheist phase. Like, it actually makes me think that everything that I said there was fine, because I don't want someone like that anywhere near power. Like, at all.
No.
Like, I don't want, like, no chance. And then people go, oh, well, are you saying that people who are religious can't be in politics? And it's like, if they use that as the basis for all of their legislation, yes. Like, absolutely get that to fuck, you know? I don't want anything to do with it. And, you know, people are saying, oh, but Kate Forbes is really good on the finance side of things, and, you know, oh, she'd be great for business, and she's really clever. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't think you can be called a clever politician if you allow journalists to bait you into saying all of your bigoted views, and they just spill forth from you because you just can't keep a fucking lid on it. Like, if I was Kate Forbes, I would have buried my bigoted views like way deep down, and just never have addressed them. But now you've got people going, "Oh, I like her because she's honest," and it's like like we saw that with Trump. Oh, he's a straight shooter. It's like, fuck off.
It gets me because people say, "Oh, well, she's forthright," and I'm going, "That's funny," because it's the exact same people that call Nicola Sturgeon shrill.
Yeah.
You just like it because she's spouting your bigotry. That's what that is. Loves.
Yeah,
but it's really funny to me because my mum is conservative with a small c, or she was. And we were talking on the phone on Friday, and we were talking about Katie Forbes and everything. She says, "Do you know what? There's just sometimes, if you can't say something nice, silence is the best answer." And nobody's mum, that lassie's mum never told her that. And I was just howling with laughter. She was the most Scottish real granny I've ever heard my mother in my life, and she's going, "Silence is sometimes the best option." And it was very kind of validating to me to hear my parents, who are very kind of, the homophobia I grew up with was the subtle kind. It was that, I have nothing against, but that was what I grew up with. And it's very validating to hear them going, I mean, they've got they can marry, the Equal Marriage Act is there, why are we debating this? And I'm going, oh, there is some hope.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Like, the thing that, so she was obviously asked for a view, okay, putting all of that stuff beside, obviously attacking marginalised communities, but she then came out and said that sex before marriage was wrong, right? And it was very much you should be married. And I'm sorry, but I think now over half of all kids born in Scotland are born out of wedlock, right? One, because getting married is actually fucking expensive. It doesn't matter how easy it is to go and get registered, and go to a registry office and get married. But the expectation to get married and have the full bells and whistles kind of wedding is off-putting for a lot of people, and they go, well, fuck that, we don't need any of it, and we'll just have a kid and raise a kid. And again, who's she appealing to there? Scotland is majority non-religious. We passed that threshold a good wee while ago. The majority of Scotland's either atheist or agnostic, or just doesn't have any sort of belief system in the way that's rigidly slotted into your usual. So why bother saying that? Why come out and say it? It's
the hope that there'll be a silent majority that's waiting to be liberated from the leftists. Basically she's banking on the silent majority has been so afraid all this time that they'll come out in droves to support her, and she's saying the opposite.
Yeah, but the vast majority of people in Scotland, there's not this desperate we need to get back to trad wives. It just seems very.
There are some people that are.
Oh no, there are but I wouldn't say it's the sweeping thing amongst young people.
No,
to want that. It's strange.
I mean, there are some conservative young people who don't realise they're conservative. That's a major issue we see with a lot of infighting in the LGBT community. Is we see a lot of infighting, and a lot of it is, the kind of the trad wife radical feminism stuff that's now being mixed with a lot of other infighting. And Katie Forbes strikes me as a conservative radical feminist. She strikes me as someone who will side with men to get power. She will side with her own oppressors as long as she can have a modicum of control. She's that sort of person, to my mind. Would love to be proven wrong. Would love for her to come out and actually have a backbone that's not based on oppressing other people, but I don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see it either. I mean, it's just so I'm trying to think here. So obviously, pro-independence, we want Scotland to become an independent country. World leader, you could see Nicola Sturgeon meeting Joe Biden, right? You can picture that, right? Joe Biden wouldn't want to be within a fucking mile of someone like Kate Forbes. He would get just completely floored by it, by his own support. They're going to look as why are you taking photos with Kate Forbes? Why are you siding with a religious bigot like that? And of course, as obviously Joe Biden's got to appeal to his kind of base and all the rest of it. Like, are we seriously going to put someone like that up against, like, oh, is she going to represent us, like, amongst EU leaders? Like,
and it's just such a step down from having someone who's so eloquent. Yeah. And there have been times when you've seen Nicola Sturgeon, you can see the anger in her eyes. Yeah. But she never gave voice to it, and she never really went off the handle. It was never a rambling mess in interviews.
Yeah.
Katie Forbes is a rambling mess in interviews.
Yeah.
It is a deluge of verbal diarrhea that she cannot stop because she's so eager to tell you how awful she is. And it's just like, you are not well suited for any job in politics. And it's a shame that you're there. You are there likely because of privilege that you do not deserve.
Well, I mean, like, to be honest, unfortunately, this is when the SNP need to really have a good fucking look at itself, because like, lots of people parked. They like, you know, it wasn't exactly a well kept secret what sort of person Kate Forbes was when it came to the views. So, you know, it's kind of, it's a difficult one. She should never have risen through the ranks.
The SNP has a history of rug sweeping when it comes to certain people, as long as it means for the cause of independence. Yeah, but at this point, it cannot be at the expense of equal marriage rights for others. It can't come at the expense of huge bigotry like this. It can't. They were able to keep a lid on it as long as Sturgeon was the First Minister.
I find it...
Now it's been exposed. It's a raw wound now.
Yeah, and I find it interesting because obviously, like, Kate Forbes talking about equal marriage and her views on that being heard has meant that the other candidates have been asked about it as well. You've had Ash Regan, who I would not say strikes me as the most competent person in the world. She's obviously been given very... She's been given like one-liners that someone's told her would shut down questions, and then she said them with the confidence of those one-liners doing that, and then it just not working, and then the moment she's pushed on anything else, she flounders, and it's embarrassing. So she was asked about it, and she looked at the camera and went, "You know what I say? Love is love." And it's like, if that's not the fucking most milquetoast like reply to someone who doesn't have any depth to like why they support things.
It's trying to give support without being controversial, I think, and just not saying it's the fear that something you're going to say is get taken out of context. So she's sticking to the one-liners that are harder to take out of context, I think.
But of course, she's like, you know, Ash Regan's on record for saying she's been in the GRR bill, and she won't challenge it. She won't challenge the UK government over it or anything like that. You've also got Humza Yousaf. So Humza Yousaf is quite good on equalities. He's been a supporter of the GRR bill and everything else. And it's funny that the what's happened is because Kate Forbes has brought equal marriage into the discussion on the basis of her religion, I feel like it's given a lot of Scottish journalists the great idea to go after Humza Yousaf over his religion. So, like, what people were originally challenging with Kate Forbes was her stated views. Now, she stated those views on the back of her religion, but you're then attacking Humza Yousaf on the basis of his religion, even though nothing he has ever said or done is against, you know, equalities. So, I've seen a couple of journalists in interviews, like, really going after him, being like, and what about your religious views? And he's been quite clear. He's been, you know, I don't legislate on the basis of my religion, right? Which is the way to do it, funnily enough. Almost like the whole religion and state thing should be separate.
Agreed.
But it has been interesting watching that. So, like, obviously people who have sided with Kate Forbes and Ash Regan and don't want to see Humza Yousaf become leader of the party have started to dig deep on what can they catch Humza on. And what they've came out with is that Humza Yousaf wasn't in the chamber to vote on the equal marriage bill. Now, he was a minister at the time, and he was drafted on ministerial business to speak to the consul of Pakistan about a Scottish person in Pakistan who'd been sentenced to death over blasphemy laws. So, kind of urgent business, had to go and, actually...
Yeah, just a small thing. Just a small thing.
So, quite a serious thing. And, of course, him not being there to actually vote on it, despite the fact that he voiced his support, he voted it through in the first stage, and of course he's backed a lot of other equalities things the whole way through. You've now got the news really trying to play that up.
It's the inherent Islamophobia that's in the UK. And I do say inherent because it's never gone away.
No.
It's really so much more rampant than you would think from our media, because of course the media is the one not reporting on it unless they are pointing out, look what these minorities are doing. And it's very, the media has a lot to answer for in the UK with regards to that.
Well, it's interesting because the article that you sent me earlier, the one that was the Prevent, and apparently if you read 1984 in Tolkien, you're more likely to be radicalised.
Yeah, if you read Lord of the Rings, you're more likely to become a right-wing fascist, apparently. According to the UK terrorist the handbook that they've made, I guess.
But I mean, the interesting thing about that was that it was saying that over time, what was originally designed to look at right-wing, or like, just, it was terrorism. It's looking at terrorism in general and like who's likely to become a terrorist. Like, gradually over time, the UK's Terrorism Act has just pivoted into looking into basically Islam. And like that's it. That's the sole number of people who can be terrorists. It's interesting that, like, it is core to a lot of like the UK that it's just, I mean, you saw it with I can't remember her first name, Begum. Shamima Begum. So like her appeal got denied this week, I think, where she got stripped of her UK citizenship on account of her being radicalised and then joining ISIS on the back of it. Meanwhile, you had, I think, a similar story of a white lassie who got radicalised by the far right, and you don't get the same treatment of her in the media whatsoever. It's an interesting one.
It is, but it's very blatant with the media. It's very, very, very just blatant the way that the media is trying to be divisive on it in a way that should not have been.
Yeah.
It's very, they're going after people for their religion, but they're not going after her for her religious beliefs. They're not going after Forbes for her religious beliefs, even though they are fundamentalist and I would argue dangerous. Just a Christian radical.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, in the early, I say the early days as if it wasn't just fucking last week, but the early days of Kate Forbes' leadership bid, in the first, like, 36 hours, there was so many fucking gaffes that you were like, is she doing this on purpose? Like, Ash Reagan came out and said she condemned the misogynistic attacks on Kate Forbes on the basis of her religion. And I would say, like, misogyny isn't when you criticise a woman. If there's definitely a way to misogynistically criticise someone. There's definitely a misogynistic way to criticise someone for their religion, but pointing out that their beliefs that they have stated is because of their religion is not being anti-religious, and it's not being anti-woman.
No, it's literally just being called on your shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what this is. It's being called out for, actually, you're a bigot. Okay.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with you being a woman. I mean, it kind of has something to do with your faith, but it's because you're part of a very, very strong radicalised sect of your faith.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It's just the fact that she's a radical.
And it's interesting, because obviously the conversation as the UK Conservatives and kind of right wing have came on board with this whole thing, and you've got Jacob Rees-Mogg like writing big articles about faith in politics and in defence of Kate Forbes. It's like religion being a like a protected characteristic in law wasn't out of like atheism, being
No.
anti-religion. It was to stop like religious sects, like the majority religious sects persecuting like minor religious sects within the same religion, as well as obviously religion on other religion kind of hate. But yeah, again, I just like 13-year-old me. If this was happening now and 13-year-old me was in like the height of the atheism phase, I'm so glad I got out of that. But it was like, you know, the whole like, I just feel like that was obviously a pipeline into like the alt-right, the whole atheism thing back in the day.
Still is.
Because it's like, you know, it starts with like the whole logic thing, and then suddenly you're watching Ben Shapiro videos, and you're quoting Jordan Peterson. Although they've kind of come full circle now, and those guys are really into God. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a shame that the quality of like political discourse over the short time since Nicola Sturgeon resigned has like plummeted. Like, how the fuck are we talking about equal marriage? Like, it's such
in the space of a week.
Yeah, like
in the space of a week, gay marriage is now potentially in danger.
I'm not sure if it's in danger, but it's the fact that like there was so many pegs in the ground for it. Like it was so natural, and all of a sudden we've got a candidate that thinks that it's bad and marriage is only between a man and a woman, and like she would vote against equal marriage if it like was in the chamber tomorrow, and it's like.
Well, it's a good thing it's not.
Yeah, how the fuck can we put you up against any progressive world leader and be like, oh, I'm definitely proud that she's on our side? It's just fuck. Makes me really sad. I mean, on the bright side, you know, if she does get in, if her or Ash Regan get in, right, and both of them aren't great on equalities, what a lot of the older people in the SNP maybe don't understand is the young people do all the fucking leafleting, right? They're the ones up the tenements. And look, if there's any older SNP people who are listening to this, I dare say that you probably have climbed up a fair few tenements in your time, right? But you don't understand how much you would cripple your campaign machine if you've suddenly got a whole bunch of demoralised young people who are actually going, fuck, I could be doing a better job in the Greens, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't see the point. And as Sky's mentioning in chat, she actually has got blog posts. Like, Kate Forbes has blog posts where she talks about being completely against like women leaders in the church. And yet, like, specifically, I think she even says in the blog, it's like specifically the church, but running a country's, you know, fine. And it's like, you either think women can lead or not.
Well, it's the same kind of rhetoric you see with, you know, the right wingers over here. They're fine with a level of oppression as long as it's not applied to them.
Yeah.
They're fine to trade the liberties and protections of others as long as they can have power. That's what she's showing her colours. She wants power, and she's not afraid to step on people to get it. She's deplorable. Yeah. And I know I have no delusions that she will hear this, but if you do hear it, Katie, you need to have a word with yourself.
Yeah.
You need to actually sit down and consult the faith that you proclaim to follow and say, would Jesus be proud of me? Because I don't think the answer is yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, the really sad thing is that, like, it would have been, like, you know, if she didn't have those views, she would have been Scotland's first native Gaelic-speaking First Minister, which would have been really fucking cool, right? Like, imagine, so, like, a First Minister that's not from the Central Belt even. That would have been great. Yeah. Like, that would have probably have been really good, you know, from, you know, because as, like, a personal project, you know, the stuff with the, you know, the Highlands and Islands and, you know, getting all that sorted out from, like, an infrastructure perspective. You know how they always talk about, like when a leader comes in, they've got like one passion project that they're really interested in. It would have been great to have seen something like that, but no, don't want to have it. The sad thing is,
You
though, is
get
that,
that, yeah.
don't get me wrong, like Hamza Yusuf's like the natural choice, but I do wish there was some other progressive candidates, and that's not even because I think that Hamza Yusuf shouldn't be First Minister. I would like to see a progressive candidate at least have to make him work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's the natural
I would just like to see more progressive candidates, full stop. I would like to see that. I'd like to see more young people putting themselves forward as well. And just, it's very, disheartening to me to see as soon as Nicola Sturgeon steps down, you have basically two right-wingers step forward. Where's everybody else?
That's the problem, because like I think from a public level they're seeing three candidates. What they're not seeing is all of the progressive people who came out and supported Hamza. I'm surprised that from a political strategy perspective, why has no one said, what would be really good is see if there was fucking 5 people going for it, just to dilute some of the shit. Because of course the right wingers are gonna put themselves for it, because that gives them the platform to then talk. Like, why allow your one progressive candidate to be ganged up on when he goes, and I can't believe we're doing TV debates as well. TV debates for internal party elections is just like, who fucking cares? Just like, do it in a hall somewhere.
We don't need to see every minute of it. Yeah. We really don't.
And all it's going to be is dirty laundry, and it's not gonna make the party look good, and it's not gonna make the Scottish government look good. I don't understand why they do that, but I suppose it's the flashy thing to do now.
It is, yeah.
I would love.
I tell you what, though, the Greens are going to look fantastic after this.
Yeah.
The Greens are just skyrocketing ahead as far as I'm concerned. I've always been torn between SNP and Green, always. And going forward, depending on how things are, I will likely be switching to Green at some point. But it's just, the SNP was always a means to getting independence, and then after that, it was building the government we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, it's kind of like, pivoting to think a wee bit longer term now. Like, if maybe the independence fight has been too focused on the SNP for a long time, as in they've been seen as the sole vehicle, and maybe it would be good to have a little bit of diversity. The problem is, right, see if Labour were fucking clever, right, which they're not, they would pivot and they would say, right, we're allowing candidates who support independence, right? If Scottish Labour did that, I reckon they could probably hoover up quite a lot of the progressive SNP folk who maybe aren't so left to the point of going green. Like, it'd be like, oh, I'm returning to my Labour roots.
That's the thing, because Scottish Labour, there is nothing about Labour involved anymore. It's not a party for the people anymore. Yeah. And that's sad, because it's Labour. It was founded for the people, by the people.
I think the issue is, I feel like from a membership perspective, the SNP can only lose from this, right? And people who want to stay involved in politics will probably drift from the SNP to Labour or the Greens, right? I don't see that as Labour winning members. I see it as the SNP losing members and folk going, I really want to find a home. But yeah, I think the whole election so far has been tedious, and can't say I'm particularly enthused. It's kind of miserable, the amount of airtime is. I mean, it's on the front pages of all the newspapers here. And I always kind of like, always give them a glance over in Asda, and it's just like, fucking hell, how are we having these types of conversations?
See, I'm spared that. I only get
Yeah.
it through my mother, and then occasionally if you text me. I'm just dealing with my own horrors over here in the US.
I don't want to just like spill forth the fucking just just dump all of this horror on you, all of the newspaper articles. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't know, I'm like, I'd say I'm kind of like at a low point with it a little bit, because like it's
normal to feel disheartened. I think it's normal to feel disheartened.
I'm completely disheartened with the SNP, but I know that like independence isn't going away, and I think that's an important thing for a lot of people to remember, because there was a lot of the moment Nicola Sturgeon resigned, I saw like there was people searching for the doomerism take. They really wanted people to like, they were searching for people to be like, oh, it's over. It's not over, because all of us will still support independence, and it's like, I suppose maybe to some extent that's more of a kind of like a core belief for a lot of people now.
Yeah.
It wasn't all pinned on Nicola Sturgeon. People supported independence before she came to power. So yeah, I think it's not going away, but I think the Yes movement needs to seriously have a good think about maybe not pinning all of the hopes and dreams on like the SNP as the vehicle.
Yeah, which it has been for a very long time.
Yeah, it has.
Specifically Nicola, she's put in, as you said it earlier in the week, she put in a good shift.
She did. I mean, like, I think
she's got a sore back from fucking carrying this whole thing for the last 8 years. She's probably going to see a chiropractor. That's why she's resigned.
Like, what my thought on the whole independence thing was, and I don't like. Sometimes I wish that Nicola Sturgeon had been a little bit bolder when it came to challenging the UK government. But then, if you look at everything that's been done, like on the throughout it, I feel like Scotland having a social security service, Scotland having trade hubs around the world, Scotland having a national investment bank. There's a lot of core, like, it's almost like core nation building-y stuff. It might not have been right for the mechanism to get us independence, but it's definitely laid a solid foundation.
It was foundations. It was someone looking at the long-term goal and going, what do we need long-term?
What we don't want is someone to come in and be a fucking bawhead and ruin it. Like, because someone who's genuinely unappealing as First Minister trying to push the independence argument can wreak fucking horrible damage. Going from someone who, like Nicola Sturgeon obviously did a lot with kids in care and things like that, going to someone who's cold and, doesn't believe that people should be having sex before marriage, it's not exactly going to entice the young folk who the independence movement needs. I mean, what is it, like 70% of young people support independence? Yeah. Just naturally. Don't vote for a leader that could potentially turn a lot of folk off. It just doesn't make sense.
And I do think it's interesting because Nicola had her fair share of criticism.
Yeah,
she was given a mountain of actual misogyny to wade up against, and it was always on Twitter I'd always see nasty wee Nicola trending.
Yeah, it was always
nasty wee Nicola.
Nasty wee Nicola. Wee Nippy was one.
Wee Nippy was the other one.
Because it was Wee Nippy Sweetie, and it's like, that's just rank. I hate that.
Yeah. And it's very kind of, and I never understood, people were always like, oh, she's shrill and heartless and doesn't care, and I'm going, I think you're mistaking someone who's eloquent and in control of themselves for someone who's not a reactionary.
Yeah.
And I want to just say for a moment, I saw people on Tumblr as well, I blocked most of them, but it was people saying that she never did anything for young people in Scotland. I know personal stories aren't the same as systemic government-wide things, but Nicola Sturgeon was one of very few people who helped us when my brother was. We were fighting for disability access for my brother in school because they were trying to put him into an asylum setting. And she helped for my brother and a lot of other disabled children to go into mainstream schooling rather than being neglected in an asylum setting where education was not the focus. We had to renovate my parents' house to have a ramp put in. Our local council said no because it would be an eyesore. That was what was voted on. Nicola Sturgeon, my mother wrote to Nicola Sturgeon. Nicola Sturgeon stepped in. My parents have a ramp for my brother's wheelchair, and they have done for the last however many 10, 12 years now, whenever that was. And it always gets me when people say she doesn't care about people, she doesn't do stuff. Just because you don't have someone being a strong reactionary doesn't mean they don't care and they don't do work. And it's really disheartening to me to see how there's been so many takes about how she's not actually done anything for individual people of Scotland, when that's the farthest thing from the truth. She did a lot of good for a lot of individual people that you did not hear about because she's not that type of person.
Well, I mean, there was another one where it was like it used to be like the Tory head of communications, a guy called Andy McIver, who wrote quite a nice thing about Nicola after she resigned, and was like that his daughter was going for like surgery, and apparently one of Nicola Sturgeon's like advisors like mentioned it to her, and she sent like the daughter like a care package of books. And it was like, so she could read while she was in recovery. And, you know, he was like, look, this was something, you know, Andy McIver was being quite open about it. He was like, look, this is something that you're never going to read. You're never going to like hear about it. Nicola Sturgeon would never have mentioned it herself, but she did that. And it's like, I suppose it's that like wee nice things that people do that, you know, obviously stick with individuals.
As Ella Cat is saying, consistent practical help is a lot more important than grand gestures. And also Tundra pointing out, we're now expecting every good deed to be blasted at us through social media.
Yes. Thanks, TikTok.
And that, yeah.
Just on that, because I, like, this, again, we're going on a tangent, buckle in. I saw the worst fucking, like, TikTok grand gesture of help charity thing I've ever seen in my life. It was these American folk, obviously, and they got a truck with like I don't know how to call it. You know those trucks that don't have like an actual like boot. They've got just the open like trunk. You know what I'm fucking talking about? Like the classic truck. The open air trunk. Pickup truck. There we go. And yeah, I was like, pickup trucks? They don't exist here. So it was a pickup truck. And what they did was they got bin bags and they basically like taped them all together and made like the back of the pickup truck like waterproof, basically. Like they made it watertight. With like plastic bags that were all taped together so that they could like pour water into it and have it all kind of like slosh about in the back of this pickup truck. And then they got like 400 fucking packets of instant ramen, right? Poured all of this water in and were like mixing it about with a fucking spoon. And then they were filming all of this, and then they drove downtown to like one homeless guy that then said on camera, "Oh, you were here earlier. Oh, I didn't know you were going to come back." So they'd obviously checked and arranged it with him. And then they gave him a bowl and he had to scoop this fucking noodles out the back of their truck. I was like, I want to kill all these people. It's like, what the fuck?
The complete lack of respect that you expect people to eat out of the back of... The money you spent on that stunt, you could have just given it to a soup kitchen and someone could have had a nutritional meal. The
worst thing about it though, it wasn't like they were just using the pickup truck as like the container. They were making this homeless guy essentially duke for noodles, right? Instead of duking for apples, it was duking for noodles. And he didn't even get like a ladle. It was like he had to go fishing in the bowl, the paper bowl that they gave him. I was watching it, I was like, these people should be jailed for doing that. Like, it's just sick. I can't, like, I honestly, it's fucking horrible. I was gobsmacked at it. But yeah, TikTok charity is a whole other beast. I despise it a lot. I also, like, just in general, like, TikTok just annoys me now. Like, TikTok people annoy me. Like, especially me.
Especially you. Have a Holly Mop cleanser in the background, everyone. Have a have a cute dog.
But it's like, yeah, see that TikTok people. Like the one, like some of them are. It's for me. It's always the people who interview random people in the street. See if someone in Falkirk walked up to me with like one of those fucking lavalier microphones you can buy and like held it out to me and asked me a question, I would tell them to fuck off. Like, is it like, what song are you listening to? Can I go and see it? How much do you pay for rent? I was like, honestly, I would hate it. It's just all these content creators on TikTok. They just ask these fucking stupid questions. I like that you're staring at me with this kind of like blank expression on account of you're shielded from this, aren't you?
I don't use TikTok because I don't want to go insane. I use Instagram, which is probably just as bad, but I think TikTok is worse. Yes. But I don't use it because I know it's bad for my mental health. I know I will either go on a murderous rampage or I'll just become depressed, so I don't use it.
One thing that annoys me.
Those are my two options.
One thing that annoys me about TikTok is like kind of unlike Twitter. Like at least with Twitter and with Tumblr. I mean, Tumblr's not too bad at it. But like Twitter and Tumblr, you can really like curate your own kind of experience. Twitter less so, but like Tumblr, you can like really curate a decent experience because it's like the people you follow will appear in your feed, and you don't tend to get a lot of shit on your feed unless you're following people. I don't look at the For You section. Who cares about that? And on Twitter, you can kind of get away with it as well by blocking as many people as possible. TikTok is just an endless fucking churn. Doesn't matter how many people you block. It's like the experience never gets better. You'll still, if I block every single like shitty charity video, I can guarantee you there'll be another one in my page.
Well, I posted something a while ago about advertising. Like I was getting all these diet tea advertisements and stuff, and like it was the only perfume I use, and it's a nutritionist. I'm going like, are you drinking it? Like, why do we need to know that you're a nutritionist and this is the perfume you use? And somebody was like, came into my notes and they were just like, that's because you look at these things and you seek them out. It's called targeted advertising. Before you complain, you should really check your habits.
Horseshit. Yeah.
And I was just like, that's not what's happening. Like, my entire Instagram feed is disability stuff, goth aesthetic, a bunch of book stuff, and LGBT stuff. I get none of that. I get the trad wife shit, I get the diet shit, I get all the other stuff, and I'm like, where is the actual content I want? I'm not seeing it, but I'm getting plenty of these ads.
My favourite one, and like it seems to just be everywhere at the moment, my favourite kind of thing that I get is the insecure handsome man ads, right? Where it's like guys who obviously hit the gym, they're pretty good looking, and yet they're constantly like, yeah, I was really bummed out because I'm only 5'10", but I bought these shoes and they lifted me up to 6'2", and I'm sitting there like, the fact that you're on an advert for a shoe lift thing probably makes you less handsome. It's men discover heels. But it was like, there's these tons and tons of these adverts where it's like guys who are like, just under the threshold of 6 foot being so utterly gutted at the fact that they're not 6 foot. And I'm just like, just have 6 foot energy and then you'll be fine.
Exactly. Just like, have the energy. Everyone says to me, you always seem so tall, and then they see me in person and they're like, oh, you're 5 foot.
Yeah.
You don't need to be tall to act tall.
Yeah, it's just just have 6 foot energy.
Just have 6 foot energy. Just have a lot of anger that has nowhere to go, and it just goes into personality. And people think you're taller. That's my secret, at least. But I'll tell you the thing the ad I get the most for, and I'm putting this on Tumblr because I know we're going to get people coming and going, what? Is trad wife werewolf porn. That is the thing I'm getting the most of right now. Is trad wife werewolf porn.
Sure. As in the trad wife becomes a werewolf, or
no. So it's this whole thing where it's this little good trad wifey female character. Basically, it's werewolf mating season. She lives in like an alpha omega society, and she gets gangbanged by by triplets who are all alphas, and it's her place as a trad wife to basically birth the new pack. I keep getting ads for this, and they all have like different variations of it, and it's like, oh, the billionaire werewolf, and and the little trad wife that gets like completely just railed, but it's her duty to do it, and it's her duty to the pack, and her duty to culture, like their culture and society, and it's so wild. And I'm like, how do you go from I
was going to say, that sounds definitely up your street, Joy.
I can't take out ads for hunger pangs. I can't take out ads. And also, these ads are using copyright material. They're using like famous films and famous songs that they absolutely do not have the rights to, and they're getting Instagram pushed ads. I try to take out ads for hunger pangs. I get told I am in breach of terms of service. Why? Because it's queer. Because I market my stuff as LGBT romance, and I get flagged as this is inappropriate for the audiences. Meanwhile, I am watching a clip of what is essentially domestic violence, and it's being played over like a romantic song, and it's basically this deluge of text that's just this awful, it was her place as the wife of the pack. And it's like so weird. It's so weird that is like allowed. But indie authors can't do their queer LGBT werewolf romance because it's inappropriate for children. What? Hello?
Yeah. What I want to know is if that is targeted advertising, right? Which I'm sure isn't the case, Joy. What algorithm somewhere has done, like, seen something that you've read and went, I know what Joy wants to see. I know what Joy wants on the dash. Tradwife werewolf porn. Here you go.
I wouldn't object if it was good. I would be like, you know what? You know, when Tumblr shows me Etsy links to adult stuff, I know that's on me because it is targeted advertising. I know that is. And I'm going, yeah, because I looked up something, probably like werewolf dick at one point. That's on me. That is the reason Tumblr is showing me that Etsy thing. On Instagram, I have targeted ads turned off. And I'm still getting this tradwife werewolf porn, and I don't know how to make it stop. And it's like, it's so bizarre. It's just so weird that it's allowed. And it's all fit. It's all, it's a lot of them are even like, they use a lot of Harry Potter fan art to advertise their stuff as well. So you'll have a completely nonsensical image that doesn't go with anything that they've said, and it's like Hermione and Draco. And it's like they're clearly in their Hogwarts clothes, and it's this big screed about werewolf tradwives, and it's like, how is this getting past the censors? And my original content that doesn't breach copyright is getting flagged as in breach of terms of services. How? It is mind-breaking.
Yes, I don't know what to say. That's, yeah. Tell you one thing, if anything, my Tumblr ads are vanilla as fuck. Then I need to up my game. I'm just like, oh, but why? What the fuck? Ah, man, this is my job. I do
romance and erotica and everything else. So I do see the wild, crazy things. I don't see them so much anymore because someone gifted me ad-free on Tumblr, but I would occasionally get just like absolutely wild, like really not safe for work artwork. But it didn't have female presenting nipples, so it was fine. But it was that kind of like, it's the weird disconnect between the small community cannot have advertising space because it's considered to be too raunchy. Meanwhile, mass theft and plagiarism and AI created shit is completely fine.
Yeah, I mean, have you came across any of like the super viral, like horny, like AI generated art?
Yes.
Like there's some, like, as in the ones that are like trying to be real life though.
I've seen some of them, yeah. Like I've seen the ones that are kind of almost like deep fakes. Like I've seen a bunch of them, and they're bragging now about the fact that they've perfected the fingers.
They've not perfected the fingers. They've not. Like I saw, like I was casually scrolling through Twitter and saw something that is not from anyone I follow, but it was an AI generated lassie who had the proportions of like anime kind of hentai girl, but it was made to look real. And like she had the hair of an anime girl as well, so she had like bunches like coming out of her hair. But what the AI had done was they'd actually made the bunches hands, so like her like fingers were coming out the top of her fucking head, and it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was like something out of Dead Space. I'm not joking. It was like necromorph level. It was like, honestly, it was a full-on hand. It was horrendous.
No.
So no, bad. They have not perfected hands. I refuse to believe they've perfected hands. But yeah, I've noticed. I'm sure it was either you that reblogged it or it was somebody else, and it was talking about how certain indie publishers are now getting like swamped with a bunch of like AI generated like stories, basically.
Yeah.
To the point where they've had to turn off their submissions because there is like so much utter horseshit being like pumped through like the submissions, basically.
And the thing is, it's people that are using either their real name or their chosen author name, which they've already got branding behind, which is the stupidest thing you could do, because all that tells publishers is this person's okay with plagiarism, and their name gets blacklisted for the whole industry. Publishers talk, y'all. Like, it's editors talk as well, and if we see something that is blatant plagiarism and it's AI created, you're going on a list, and no matter what you come up with originally in the future, you're going to have to do it under a different name, because that name is now mud. And it's very... I think it shows how little regard people have for the skill involved that goes into creating media, because they think AI can do it and they can get money from it as well. They think, in my industry especially, people go, oh, well, it's romance. How hard can romance be? Romance is one of the hardest genres to write well for.
Yeah.
And, and then they get angry about how, I was supposed to be a quick cash grab, but it didn't work. And it's like, yeah, because people knew that you were just trying to do a quick cash grab.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing though, is that like AI, like a couple of folk who regularly watch my streams and stuff like that, they're computer programmers, and they've used ChatGPT and like other kind of AI tools to like correct their correct their code, or like to see if their code matches up, and all of that's quite good. But AI generated content is absolutely the tool of lazy people who want to cash in. And what you'll find is that the people who make AI generated stories, people who make AI generated art, are just plagiarizing because they are telling an AI to, like, basically are pointing an AI at content that already exists and going, do something like that, please. And the AI, fair enough, sometimes gives it a good go, but at the end of the day, it's just pinching someone else's stuff. And we've had quite a lot of chats both on and off stream, Joy, when it comes to like content and creation, and you can't fake it. Like, it's a really hard thing to fake, and an AI won't grasp the, like, you probably couldn't have got the AI to write crucifix nail nipples, I'm sorry to bring it up again, in the same way that you did. Like, you couldn't ask an AI to do that.
There has to be a horrible level of human ingenuity to create a monstrosity like that.
But like, but like, I'm talking about your post where you walk through it, right? Well, like, when you were telling me, like, you probably couldn't point, like, you could probably do it now. You could probably tell an AI to look at your post and then write something similar to it, but it wouldn't come up with it off the course of it. Oh my god, that is a side blog in itself. Just AI generated bibliosphere content. Where right tradwife werewolf porn and crucifix nail nipples. Combine the two, please.
No. I'm not being responsible for whatever that unleashes into the universe. It's bad enough that Elon Musk's AI thing scraped E05 already, and it's just throwing out Tony Stark Omegaverse and like Supernatural Omegaverse. Like, that's all it's creating, and it's just like, oh, this is the darkest timeline.
It's fucked. But yeah, I think I just want to see the end of this nightmare.
I mean, to me, there's a lot of things with going back to the things being pushed by algorithms. I think so much of it is being pushed, and we're seeing so much more of it than is actually there.
Yeah.
And it is disheartening. As a creator, it is disheartening because I think I mentioned it once before. Somebody very sweetly sent me fan art based on my covers, and I ended up not posting them because it turned out they used an AI machine to do it. And I was like, so you put my copyrighted artwork that my illustrator worked countless hours on, and you fed that directly into an AI learning machine.
Yeah. And then posts it as if they've curated this fan art for you. What the fuck? You didn't do anything.
It was during a time as well when I was having to combat Findaway Voices, who is one of my main audio distribution for audiobooks and everything else, apart from Audible, because they decided to blanketly allow Apple to use all the narrators' voices for AI learning without consulting the narrators. So I had my narrator Discording me in a panic, saying, I need you to contact Findaway and tell them you remove your blanket permission for your work to be used in AI learning.
Yeah.
And that, I did an interview for The Wired about that. I wasn't quoted in it. They did some stuff about how it could be used for disability purposes, but it's not. But also, people need to give consent for their voices to be used in this way. People need to give consent for their writing to be used in that way. And we weren't informed when Findaway made this change. We got a vague kind of in 2020, we're changing our policies, but they never highlighted what that change was.
Yeah.
It was only when some of us got a notification that through Drafted Digital, you can now create audiobooks using Apple's AI integrate, whatever it was. And I'm like, weird. How did they have access to that? Because the only way they'd have that is through Findaway's changed their policy, haven't they? So we went looking through the terms of services, and it had been sandwiched in at the very bottom that you give blanket permission for your work to be used in audio.
I like what Mothman's advising, because I think that is the fastest way we'll probably get some form of legislation around the use of AI tools. And I think like one of the problems that tech and the law always has is that tech moves extremely fast and the law does not.
Yes.
So like actually writing comprehensive law around this that covers every kind of variable is exceedingly hard. But I know that if you started feeding Disney stuff in, it would almost definitely get stopped sooner. Or at least there would be a lot more attention to it.
Well, what was the big image person that basically slaps a copyright on everything, and they're going after them. Starts with a G. That's terrible. I had it in my head. Anyway, there's a big company over here that kind of like puts copyright on a bunch of images that they technically shouldn't, and they're going after
Getty
some
Images?
Of the Getty. Yes,
Getty,
thank you.
yeah.
Close 89. And they're going after AI learning tools because it's taking stuff from them, and it's kind of like, you know, it's that kind of like the GIF. I think it's from, what's it called? I can't remember. He plays the robot dude in The Good Place, and it's just him screaming, "Yeah, bite each other's dicks off!" And it's just like you're rooting for both of them to destroy each other because they're both terrible.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of, we're at this kind of stage where it's like, cool, I'm having to literally side with corporations like Disney to try and protect my work. This is awful.
Yeah.
This is genuinely the bad place. This is hell.
Yeah, and I think that's what quite a lot of, like, that's the problem with a lot of people who use AI thinking they're fighting the big corporations, but they're actually just devastating a lot of the indie, like indie creators and indie content. You know, whether you're an author or whether you're a musician or whatever it is, it really does hit that. It's like it always hits them first because that's under the radar and they can get away with it, and then slowly but surely they ramp it up to the point where it becomes accepted. Which is frustrating to say the least. But yeah, I've just realised that we were talking about TikTok and we had the absolute prime.
We're on a tangent.
It was a prime tangent there to go on to the other part, which was de-influencing.
Yes,
which is interesting. Like looking at, like, it's interesting that there's a bit of a pushback against the whole influencing thing now. One of my favourite things to try and de-influence is people's households. Like, I hate influencer houses. I think they should all burn to the ground. Nah, I'm joking.
For anyone that's new, we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, which I highly recommend you check out. We talked about influencer homes and how they're creating unattainable aesthetics. And it's that kind of like the restock things, where people are showing you that they're buying like hundreds of dollars worth of products and refilling their bathroom. In actuality, as I pointed out, they're probably refilling their Airbnb house.
Yeah.
It's just it's a way of making money off of people's desire to feel organized and to feel on top of things. And it's very predatory towards, you know, it started out as these things were clean with me videos for people with like depression or forms of neurodivergency where they struggle to get tasks done unless they have a body double, which is basically having a partner, and that having someone in your vicinity gives you the motivation to do stuff. Well, now there's this big pushback against it and they're calling it de-influencing. How do you de-influence your life? The obvious answer to that to me is delete your TikTok and your Instagram. But that's not the conversation we're having, unfortunately. But it's the idea of you've got these new influencers coming up and saying, oh, don't get this expensive product, get this Amazon dupe, and then they link to the Amazon with their affiliate link. They don't tell you it's an affiliate link, which, by the way, is against US law. And they're now just influencing you to get the cheaper thing. And it's leading to this kind of mass commercialization and these trends where you're generating more waste in your home because the trend fades out after 3 months. Yeah. And suddenly you're pitching all your plastic containers and buying fake marble ones, or you're buying something else. And it's very kind of, it's just consumerism. It's consumerism under the guise of trend setting. And then de-influencing has been taken over to be another form of trend setting. And it's just encouraging you to spend more money, but just less of it.
The one, like the influencer videos that I find like weird in how obviously they're trying to sell stuff is like, I think it's particularly Korea that the trend started in, but it was always like what someone does when they come home from work. And like they would do a walkthrough and it would be like slightly accelerated, like they're walking at like 1.5 times speed through their house, and they would always like, they'd take their metal watch off and they'd place it in this tray with water and chemicals in it, like
the sonic cleaner.
Yeah, like they removes the dirt from there, and they would kick off their shoes and then put it in these like nice wee boxes and then slide it in, and they'd go and then they'd like make dinner, and it was all spotless, it was all like really, really nice looking, but at the same time I was just like, you've got all of these totally fucking pointless home gadgets. Now, some home gadgets I can buy into, right? I don't mind a home gadget. I think some of them can be quite cool, but there's definitely some really useless. Like, see that watch one? Every time I see that, I'm like, fuck off. Are you seriously putting your watch in that every single day?
I'm going to say something very quickly, just as a safety PSA for people. I've seen a lot of people putting their glasses into those things. Do not do this if you have a treatment on your lenses, because it strips the treatment off. So if you have an anti-glare, or you have some sort of protective film, the blue light blocking the yellow film as well, that regular sonic cleaning will start to take that film off, and it will start to damage your lenses. So don't do that, because I've seen that a lot on Instagram in the last couple of weeks. So just in case anyone's seen that and thought, well, this will really get my glasses clean, don't do that. You will destroy your very, very, very expensive glasses.
Huh. No, it's funny, you just saying anti-glare there. I didn't know that anti-glare glasses existed. I feel like I could use anti-glare glasses.
Why? I'm not just... I mean, I am wearing them because they look cool. But my red glasses are a very specific type of anti-glare. But you can get the very basic ones that you don't have to have a prescription for.
I don't need glasses though. That's the thing. So can I wear anti-glare glasses with it?
Yeah. Okay. You can get ones without prescription, but they just protect your eyes from the lights and the screen, and you should be doing it. It's better for your...
I definitely should be fucking doing it, actually. But it's like, no, to be honest, it's just sometimes when I'm outside and I'm walking and looking really cool, and sometimes the sun is like, I'm not sure if I'm just hypersensitive to it, but see when the sun bounces off of like white buildings and stuff, I end up like just fucking looking at the ground for half the time, because it's like, it's so bright. I'm just like, I'm squinting like on the
blue light sensitivity is a very real thing. It's and it's not just people that have like actual eye problems. It's like everyone's developing blue light problems because we're exposed to blue light so much more often.
Yeah.
I could rant about this for the next hour, by the way, so you need to shut me up at some point. But I've been learning all about it because I got diagnosed with extreme photosensitivity about 2 months ago. It was when we figured out my eyes were in misalignment, and that's why I wear the red, because the red is the most protection you can get from blue light.
What colour are your eyes, Joy?
My eyes are a very light bluish, brownish. They're hazel.
Cool. You're okay. Right. I'm straight up mutant. I'm blue eyed. I saw Sky there say blue eyes have a hypersensitivity to natural light.
Yes.
Do they?
They do.
What?
They do.
No one fucking told me this. What? Since when? I mean, all my life apparently, but I didn't know that was a thing.
But I love mine because I can make these even redder with my clip-ons.
That is so fucking cool.
And I can look up at because I've got a blue light up there so that the camera can see me, and it doesn't cause any pain. But I also have my other ones for migraine protection that have the block out the sides as well. But they recommend these for people that do skiing when you're outside in a lot of sunlight. But if you have any sort of light sensitivity, I would look into anti UV glasses. Joy serving coolest aunt looks. That is my biggest goal in life. So thank you.
Incredible.
But yeah, I can look directly into the sun when I have all my stuff on, and I'm someone that gets migraines from blue light. So Joy is Daredevil. Not quite.
That is
but yeah,
cool,
get yourself a pair of anti-blue light glasses. You don't need to have a prescription for them.
Cool. I'll call them my gamer glasses.
There you go.
It's gamer time, and I just put them on. Yeah, it's just like, obviously I spend quite a lot of time looking at screens, as is the nature of a lot of jobs these days.
Yes.
And I think I feel like there's obviously the kind of prescription stuff that you have that's like quite serious. But I have seen some Instagram ads in my time where I'm like, these are cheap as fuck blue glasses. Do they really work? Just some brands.
So they do to an extent, but again, I saw a neuro-ophthalmologist a month ago, and he was saying they do work, but the red light blocks more of it. So you're better if you have a lot of screen time. you'd be better off getting red tinted UV glasses,
okay.
UV protection glasses. That's his stance on that. He also is like, put your screen onto night mode, like not just like dark mode. He puts all of his stuff onto night mode, which puts a red tint over the screen. And he specializes with, ready for this segment, for the ADHD community, he does a lot with that as well, and how blue light negatively affects ADHD and mood. So,
fuck! Oh, fuck!
Because extreme light sensitivity is also really common with ADHD.
No, don't tell me that. No, fuck. I need to go and get checked so bad, man. Right, okay, so night mode it is then, for everything.
Yeah, night mode. Mm-hmm. Hypermobility too is also really common with ADHD as well, and other types of neurodivergence as well. But I have links on my blog, and I will post more later on because I actually have my checkup soon. So I will let you know how that goes.
Sorry, point 1 for me against ADHD. I am not hypermobile.
You are not.
Yeah, I have started doing yoga again though. I feel like I need to get back into
that.
It's good to be able to touch my toes.
I'm not allowed to do yoga because I can touch my toes too much. So that's things just move that shouldn't move. So I'm
there's a foot fetishist watching, going, yes, get in. No, but it's like you know what? The reason I want to do yoga is because I want to be able to kick higher. So like obviously I do quite a lot of like self-defense stuff, and I realized that I want to be able to kick someone's head clean off their shoulders. So I was like, I might as well do yoga for that.
I mean, that's fair. That's a fair goal.
Sorry, back to de-influencing because we just cannot stay on track.
For anyone new, tangents within tangents is our tagline for a reason.
Yeah. It's just, you'll always get like another 3 topics out of us. But yeah, like de-influencing, and it was interesting, the video that you sent me, Joy, where we were the lassie was talking about how
Tiffany,
like homes go through, like, you know, there's like kind of home decor has gone through like stages, like all white to all grey. And I was like, the most joyless fucking existence. But then there was a really horrible one that she showed, and I was like, who would actually use that? What the fuck is a foam mirror?
I've seen them everywhere, and they look so silly.
But what the fuck is that? Is it literally foam, like squishy foam? That's a mirror.
A lot of it's not squishy foam. They literally make like a cloud shape out of like setting concrete, like thin set concrete, and then they paint it to look like a cloud, and then they call it foam. But they're just destroying a good mirror with something that will absolutely break it when it cracks.
I don't think I've ever seen one that actually looks like a cloud. I genuinely think they all look like shit.
They do.
No offense, foam mirror fans, but they all look shit.
Alice Garrett, I said when most mirrors break when they crack, I meant when the cement surround cracks because they've not done it properly. Most of the time they're setting the cement in their house where it's temperature regulated, they move it around and then the cement cracks. And then it breaks the mirror and they wonder why. It's because they're playing with materials and not doing any sort of precaution with it. But I've seen so many people do it on Instagram. It's like, I'm going to renovate my house, and then they just like put concrete on their wall to make a texture, and I'm like,
I'm sorry, what?
I get it. If you're going for a very specific vibe, I can respect that. As someone who is goth, and my house is, I'm in a pastel goth office right now. I have a very bright pink ceiling that I love. I commit to the bit 100%. I'm still not going to put thin set concrete on my drywall to make it look like brick. Especially in my rental space.
Yeah. Well, when I arrived in this office, yes, this is my office, I can call it that. This wall had wallpaper on it that was designed to look like old-fashioned like brick, right? But like not nice brick, like just brick. And I couldn't wait to get it off because it was just fucking rank. I don't know why anyone would want to have a fake brick wallpaper wall. So that was gone almost immediately, and then I had to paint it brand colours.
Of course you did.
I had to commit into the bit at the same time as you. But yeah, it was it's
I'm going to see if I can show you my ceiling and not fuck up my entire setup. Hang on. I'm very proud of this ceiling. Mothman did it for me.
Hell yeah, that's looking cool.
Isn't that sweet? Isn't that lovely?
It is. I like the fox on top of the cabinet as well.
Yes. I think I've broken it. There we go. Never mind.
You're slightly go a wee bit more towards you. Yeah, you're fine. You're good.
There we go.
The ceiling is very nice.
Keep Hollymop in the frame. That's the important thing. But I am now unfortunately making Mothman do this through the whole house because it works so well. So unfortunate for him, he was too good at his job.
Is it? Yeah, punish him for his talents. But yeah, I suppose I think de-influencing is interesting because it affects more than just homes. The one, like the kind of examples that I see the most have been the home ones, because like you were saying, those restocking ones are like the thing is that they are weirdly soothing. Is like I can see why people get sucked in at like a kind of ASMR level to like watch someone just like restock their fridge. You know, like I can kind of get that. It doesn't do it for me. I don't get off on stuff like that, but I can see why, you know, some people might really like the idea of a fully stocked kitchen.
Well, again, it was also originally used to help people get over executive dysfunction.
Yeah.
It was, here, let's clean my fridge and restock. Let's restock my pantry. It was a way you could turn the stuff on and get stuff done in the background with it. That was the original purpose of those types of videos. And they just got co-opted by people wanting to sell you things, unfortunately. And it's gone from, let me show you my realistic house. Like Casey Davis is a big one, the author of How to Keep House While Drowning, who's a fantastic ADHD specialist. She's amazing. Her videos are still very messy and still very real, and it's clean with me. And she goes through the mess that her kids have made, and it's very satisfying, and I get a lot done when I do those. But then you click away from her page, and all of the other stuff is restock my bougie kitchen where the coffee machine is worth more than your weekly salary.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, how many types of ice do you need? Oh, I have a freezer just for 5 different types of ice. Yeah. And it's like, okay, if that gives you joy, that's fine. But the fact that so many people are promoting this as the thing to have.
Yeah.
Like,
it's, I suppose it's kind of adjacent to this, but I kind of feel the same way about like influencer cooking videos.
Yes.
Because I love seeing like people cook, right? I like seeing a dish come together. It always looks quite nice. And especially when they do it in that really flashy way where like they've basically got the camera angled down and it's just their counter, and you know they're adding stuff, and you know they're frying whatever they need to fry, and you know it always looks really good. And you know, it's not someone in their kitchen doing this though. It's someone on a set, and all of the bowls that they're using to like pour all the spices in are all like, it just like they're using up like, you know, 100 times more fucking dishes that you would actually like use. It's still nice to watch, but it kind of also gives you the, oh, well, I don't have that gadget. How can I pull this meal together? They always have this kind of like flashiness to it. Or, you know, it's always when the influencer's like, oh, I use this really good like cast iron pan. Is like, I don't have a cast iron pan. I'm clearly a useless kitchen owner.
I need to interrupt really quickly. So
fine.
Did you know that cast iron pans can explode?
Like,
because guess what happened to me last night?
Oh, for fucking hell.
The pan was clean, it was dry, and all of a sudden I heard this really loud popping sound over my noise-cancelling headphones.
Oh.
And I looked over, and my pan was rattling back and forth on my glass stovetop. And then I started to see bits of it's an enamel cast iron pan, and the enamel was starting to pop off in big giant flakes, and I could see the iron underneath, like the red iron underneath. So I grabbed this thing, which is still vibrating, and I threw it away from the heat, basically, and it continued to like basically just expand and then crack.
All right, nice.
So that was my night last night. So if anyone's like, oh, you definitely need a cast iron pan, yeah, they're nice, but be aware that if there's a hairline crack anywhere, they can explode.
Huh.
So there you go.
Nice. Well,
that was my
nice.
night last night.
Do you have another pan?
We're actually going shopping after this because we don't. So.
All right, okay. No, that's fair. I pretty much do everything in one wok. Everything gets cooked in a wok. That I don't do anything else with it. Like it's all wok. Like obviously I've got pots and stuff for like pasta, but like everything is done in a wok. It's wonderful.
Fair, which is fair. I mean, our enamel pan is our main workhorse. That was the one that we used for everything. We do have a little stainless steel one, but it's very small. But I can see Mothman typing behind me. But it's you don't need 1,000,001 gadgets to make things work.
No.
And I say that as someone who is a very gadgety person. Like I was talking the other day that I have my own soup blender. And people were like, oh, can't you just use this? And I'm like, well, as a disabled person, I can't stand for very long periods of time at a stove. You know, it hurts me, and it also, because I have autonomic nervous system dysfunction. Autonomic nervous system dysfunction, not atomic.
That's a Fallout perk.
That's my character in Fallout 4. I faint with heat, so no, I can't stand for long periods of time and do stuff. It's great if we can just throw it in a blender and I have soup. And for a lot of people, they were like, wait, you can get a blender that you just throw all your raw ingredients into a blender and it cooks it? Yeah, takes 20 minutes. That can be a game changer for some people.
Yeah.
But also, you don't need... I love mine. I fully endorse, if you have problems with executive dysfunction and feeding yourself, soup blenders are fantastic. You literally just put all your ingredients in, you throw it in with some water, you turn it on soup, and it cooks it, and it blends it into... You can either do creamy or chunky. It's great.
That sounds fucking class. I didn't know that existed.
I love mine. We got one, was it a year ago? You can't hear me. It was a year ago. I had something wrong with my digestive tract and I couldn't have solids for 6 months. So we basically just, there is a delay. I'm sorry, Mothman. The brand I have is a Ninja. Don't bother getting the Instapot one because it dies very quickly. And I couldn't eat solids for 6 months. So I was basically living on like a liquid diet. And I'm like, this is hell. This is awful. Like, nobody wants to be eating Campbell's tin soup for 6 months. So that was our way of getting around that, was to be able to just put fresh ingredients in it, and then you just walk away and you come back 20 minutes later, you have good soup.
I'm not sure if I can wangle another kitchen gadget out of Jessica, because we've like slowly, like when we moved in, we didn't have tons, but we've now got a blender. I've got like a rice cooker. I've got like a wee espresso machine, and I think we've also got we've got an air fryer which we've never used because it was it was given to us by a family member. It was one of those, oh, you'll get loads of use out of this, and then it was like a shitty air fryer that it's got this weird thing that spins in the middle of it, and it's atrocious to clean, so I just don't use it.
We had one.
We've also got like a pressure cooker, which what the fuck does that? I don't know. It's just
cooks really fast.
Great, but I mean, if I'm, it's not like I can make like a curry in it. You know, it'd just be a recipe.
You can.
Nah.
You can.
I'm a hands-on chef. I like my wok. Nobody will take my wok away from me.
That's fair. And the thing is, that's what works for you.
Yeah.
And that that's what works for you. And it's, but for some people, the gadgets do help. Like a pressure cooker is great for a mum of 4 who maybe doesn't have time. Like,
Slow cookers good too. Sorry, slow cookers are good too.
Yeah. But gadgets have their place, and I will fight back against anyone that says they're just laziness, because a lot of the time kitchen gadgets are actually intended for disabled use. And people just go, oh, that's just laziness. Well, it's actually for people with mobility issues, but they have to market it to the wider market, because otherwise they don't get enough money to do the thing. So, but there is a difference between that and the trend. And there's one person, I eventually blocked her on Instagram because I kept getting all of her stuff, even though I wasn't clicking on any of it. And it was unpack my new coffee machine. And she was getting a new espresso machine like every 6 months. And I was like, Hen, what are you doing to that? You need a new one every 6 months.
You're wired to the fucking moon on an espresso. That's funny. Yeah, I think there was another thing that the video that you sent me kind of went into was for a lot of influencers, they frequently some of them will frequently move house for content, because they get a fuckload of content out of house hunting, out of moving day, out of looking for stuff, out of decoration, and it's like that's what they do. And I see, when she said that, I was like, oh my god, people actually do that. Holy fuck, that's nuts. It's so tiring.
There is so much move with me content, and it's always an upgrade. It's always we're moving into a nicer, bigger house, and it's always they're moving from a house that's fine, but they're going into the big white space, and it's the white spaces are great for filming content, and that's why they do it. Yeah. But a lot of them are serial movers. They will move apartments even though they don't need to shore up content. And it's really insidious that you think, and they get money from it. They get moving vans. People come in and say, oh, we'll do this if you mention us in your thing, because then they get people in the area wanting to move with them because influencer XYZ said so.
That's such a, as Thistle Reese is saying, from a working class perspective, this is... that's nuts. That is so pipe. I don't want to say pipe dreamy, because some people will be able to move house, but for a lot of people, that's for someone to so leisurely move house to create what is essentially bare bones social media content is I don't like it. I'm not saying they can't, but at the same time I'm like, oh, that's no nice.
It's one thing to do it because you genuinely are moving and you need to move, you're upgrading for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the fact that some channels solely exist to film I am moving content every so often, and they film the content in the one location, and it's, oh, hey, my job changed, we're doing this again. Did your job change, or are you just not getting enough clicks from your old content anymore?
Yeah.
And it's the same level as restock my guest bathroom with me, and they're actually just restocking their Airbnbs. It's landlord culture. It's having enough money to own multiple properties and move between them willy-nilly because you are exploiting other people.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It's strange because I think I don't know, maybe I'm just too no, I'm not content. Obviously, there's things that I would improve at the moment, but I think there would definitely be a point where I'm I don't need to improve this anymore. I'm actually just happy with it being as is. There's some people I know that have done up their done up rooms in their house multiple times. Have done up their kitchen or their bathroom 3 or 4 times, living there in the space of 5 years, and it's why are you rearranging it so much?
I think for some people it can be a source of creative outlet, and they feel like they don't have any other skill, so that could be part of it. I know I like renovating my house, but that's because when I do it, I'm making it into less of a health hazard. We keep finding out new things that we have to do, but when I get to actually put colour on the walls, it's such a joyous experience for me.
Yeah.
But I'm also don't want to do it constantly.
But yeah, you don't gut your office every fucking,
no,
couple of months or every year, It just seems like it would be exhausting. I suppose we've got other creative outlets though, so maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think how like household like do-ups and renovation and stuff is content that I've never particularly liked. But then again, I'm not particularly into home decoration either. Like, because I reckon this is actually partly because of like me moving around a lot after I left home the first time. Like, I was in China and I knew that that would be temporary, so I didn't bother with the whole decoration thing there. I then moved back to Edinburgh where I was in student halls. That's temporary. Then temporary, and it was only until we ended up here that I was like, okay, this is actually a place that will stay for a good wee while. So let's get into doing it. And as you can see, I've put a lot of effort into decorating my lights and my horrible floating shelves that I fucking despise. And I've not done anything about the mirror behind me. I was actually in B&Q earlier today, and I was like, see those mirror sliding doors? I could totally change up my stream and have my camera like facing front on if there wasn't a mirror behind me. I could have a camera like your camera at the moment. Instead, I've got to be sitting like weirdly angled. Like, hi, it's strange. But yeah, if I get rid of those fucking horrible mirror doors, I'll be good. I'll need to watch more TikToks and get ideas.
You'll be watching them and just you'll come away and you'll be like, Joy, I'm gonna make like a foam. Like, I'm not gonna get rid of them. I'm just gonna get some concrete and make some foam around it and make it look really cool.
Yeah, you'll see me bloodshot eyes like just next week. Having done everything, I'll be wearing my red glasses though. Red glasses and concrete wall behind me. But yeah,
very dystopian sounding.
Yeah. Right. The influencers, have we cracked the case? Have we solved it?
I think we have. I think we've gone as far as we can with it. It's basically just the movement started to get people to stop buying as much shit, and now you're being told to buy other types of shit. Yep. Don't do it. If you want to de-influence your life, just stop following people.
Yeah. And yeah, I think because we've reached the end, I don't think we're going to get another tangent out of this. So no, I'm going to call it to a close early. We're getting better at it rather than trying to stretch it wafer thin for the final minutes. But that is an end of season 2, episode 5. Thank you very much to everyone who is listening on the podcast. Of course, we do this live on Twitch every other Sunday. And people in chat don't go anywhere because we do hang around at the end and we just chat to yous. But yeah, this will be up on YouTube and everything else pretty soon. Joy, do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks for listening again, and again, thank you to everyone in Twitch chat, and always say something that would have got us banned there, for contributing and making us fun as ever. Yeah, thank you.
And go and watch Tradwife Werewolf Porn.
No.
Have a good day.
That's
everyone.
Not what we're ending on.
Yes, it is. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Oh,